Hi, my name is John Poole, and this is my final assignment for week 6. I would like to go ahead and welcome you and say congratulations for becoming one of our staff members for our Student Affairs department. It will be starting next semester, so what we're going to do right now is just to go over the preliminaries beforehand, discuss some of the theories that we'll be using, any recommendations such as that, and some activities that we'll have the students in so that we can connect with them throughout the lesson or the time allotted for our meetings. Beforehand, we try to email everyone a copy of the required resources beforehand. I do have a copy of them if you are not able to get the email or anything such as that. The articles themselves provide background information for the Student Affairs Department, division, very working together within the other colleges of the university, as well as background information on the theories that we will be using throughout our meetings or our appointment times with the students. That's why it is very important to go over that once you get the chance. We'll go over them a little bit throughout this presentation, but due to time, it will be a little bit more reserved. We would like to go ahead and starting off, you have a copy of our syllabus. And just going over that, you can see that our mission statement has been listed there, which is the Student Affairs Department inhibits the social, academic, and ethical development of the student body. Through collaboration between departments, we provide a university experience that is not only student-focused, but also meets and exceeds the expectations of our sponsors, students, parents, and faculty. Following again, we have our expectations, our goals, or our objectives, so to speak, to learn the skills that are necessary to encourage students to embrace who they are without fear of persecution or bias, assisting the student in breaking down potential strongholds and helping the student identify who they are and what they represent. Again, a copy of the required materials are listed there along with the articles. And then we have our presentation schedule, which as you can see, we go over the welcome and introduction, which we've done, the mission statement and the goals, which we are in the process of now, the developmental theories, which we'll be covering two throughout this presentation, but we will be using more than two, obviously. Then after that, we go through our philosophy, and then we have final thoughts or comments, and then a tour of our department. Um, there are activities that are listed. We have a transition timeline, which we'll go through when we discuss the theories that we'll be using, and a connecting activity, which is more so getting to know the background information of the students as well. We can go ahead and move on to our developmental theories. One of the as a copy of the memorandum that was sent to all of our faculty members as well so that they have an idea of how we're going to approach the students. Um, in the memorandum, we decided to do the leadership development theory. And this theory basically breaks down a student's life into three different levels: the individual, the group, and the community. As most students or most of us can be aware, the factors that develop or help us maintain or identify our morals and ideals, our principles throughout life, are basically broken down from what we ourselves have gone through, our personal experience with life, our group, our friends, our outside family, the people that are, I guess, they can do the peer pressure, they help you develop throughout life. And finally, the community. And that can be anything from programs, churches, religion, even worldwide events such as 9/11. When it happened, it affected every student or everyone at a different level, regardless of where you were located. So this is why the community level, while at first it doesn't have a direct approach, but indirectly affects the student and how they mentally develop through that. Of course, I listed an example in the memorandum just to give them a better detail for it. A 24 first-year student has a child, and they grew up in a Catholic household. The advisor will be able to identify or to recognize the potential barriers that each student can go through. Now, it may take more time or more effort, because certain students they will be guarded. They will be apprehensive at first to the idea of someone helping them or giving their personal information out. So it may take a little time, a little poking and prodding to get the information out, but using what they say, we can identify the potential barriers. For in that example, we know that the student has a child, so there are the barriers of having to raise a child, regardless of the age. There's daycare, there's school, there's health, there's a crying child at night, which does affect sleep, which does affect their involvement with the university or even with completing their assignments. Um, this basically has that one statement from the student has listed a number of barriers. So this is kind of this theory helps us recognize and break down keywords that the student feels that are important and how do we approach them into fixing, not fixing per se, but assisting them in managing their strongholds, their barriers. The next sheet of paper or assignment that we have would be a list of what I call connecting with our students. And it's a list of questions that we would ask the students or to physically see how the students are responding to the questions that are asked. A lot of times verbal communication and nonverbal communication can give us two different answers. So it is very important to also take notes but to watch the student as well. Because then fidgeting, not maintaining eye contact, those are signs that show us that something we're not getting the full story. Or maybe the student doesn't feel comfortable, so we'll have to give them more time. The questions, going over them very quickly. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why did they choose this university? Do they know what they want to do in the future? Do they feel prepared for their classes? Do they maintain a job? Their role models. Then it asks family information. Are you the first one in your family to enroll in college? Which surprisingly is a very high statistic for students now. Have you attended the orientation? Will you be staying on campus? What are your potential fears? Potentially the fears that we ask the student this is because we want to know what they are expecting, where they are in life, and how they will react to the campus life or the college life. So that's important for us as well to know what they want to deal with. And as you can see, looking around our meeting today, we're diverse. So for certain people, for certain students, cultures, they have been boxed in and they don't realize the diversity that they're walking into. There's things that they used to be able to say and do could possibly offend another student or a faculty member. So this is also helping them step out of that culture shock as well. Then we have a little of the theories that we'll be using. I mentioned earlier the leadership development theory, but to get more information as well, we will use Erickson's stages of development. There are 8 stages, and they each pertain to a certain level or a certain stage within a person's life. Um, Very briefly, because the information is in one of the articles that is referenced. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. This builds hope for the future. The autonomy versus shame and doubt. This builds the will of the student. Initiative versus guilt. This builds the purpose that a student has. Industry versus inferiority. That builds the confidence that they develop throughout life to get them to believe in their own skills. The fifth one is identity versus confusion, which allows it opens up the fidelity or the connection with other people, but it also shows how much they can blend in with society and live up to society standards. The sixth would be intimacy versus isolation, which opens up the love avenue. The seventh is generativity versus stagnation. This builds their care, their sense of usefulness to the community. If they don't believe that they're making a difference in their life or in the lives of others, it is going to be very difficult to motivate them. So this stage is it gives us an insight to what they're looking at, the image of themselves from their eyes. And finally, the eighth is integrity versus despair, which It's the last stage, and basically it's a summarization of their lives from their perspective. It builds on the wisdom that they will share with other people down the line. Our goal, again, is to accept every student for who they are and to allow them to be able to feel comfortable in a diverse environment, regardless of religion, regardless of sexual orientation, gender, race. We're here to help each and every student to get to their level of success that they want. I use the analogy of training adults to be kids again. In elementary, in grade school, kids don't have the idea of rich versus poor, or males and females, or blacks and whites, or Asians or Hispanics, or sexual orientations. They see a friend. They play, they share, they eat together, they do everything together. And then as they get older, the community or their family life instills the values, and then the race and everything plays a part. So I would consider our phase of turning the adults back into kids again, to change that mindset and that they have developed over time. Our one concluding statement is that we want to be a part of the change. We know that change is unavoidable, but we can affect the change that each and every student has if we can get in and affect it potentially. We can help them shape the future to what they want to be. We give them the power that they need to develop and to choose the path of them for their life. Will every student open up? Will they be easy? Of course not. But as long as we are dedicated, we work together as a team atmosphere, there's no way that we can't get to a student and get them the help that they need. Again, I would like to say thank you, and welcome for everything, for completing, congratulations for coming here, for bringing the materials, and for being willing to help the students get to the next level in their lives. Again, my name is John. I'm John Poole. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. The syllabus does have all our contact information there. We will go through the tour of the department now so that you can get familiar with your workspace and how you would like to affect that or decorate or get familiar with your other colleagues as well. Thank you, and I guess we're going for the tour now.